And let's just go to, have you heard of Convex?
No.
So if we click into Convex here, it says the description. It simplifies your curve boosting experience to maximize your yields. When you own Curve
Okay.
and you are providing liquidity to Curve, if you stake your Curve, essentially if you lock up your Curve,
Yeah.
uh, you can get a a boost in your APR, and that's what
Okay.
this variable rate is.
Oh, okay.
Right. So let's see if I can show you here.
Locked for 4.
So
Yeah.
if you lock up your CRV, which is your liquid curve, you can sell that. It
Mm.
for 4 years, then you can get this V curve.
Yeah.
And having locked $1 of curve for 4 years is as if you provided 17, almost $18
And
as
an
a
LP.
liquidity provider. Okay, so going back to Convex,
Yeah.
what Convex does is it allows you to get the benefits of V curve
Mm-hmm.
without locking up your CRV. So now we're getting to like, to me, this is like proper hardcore DeFi in terms of like the innovative part.
Okay.
Um, because here it kind of tells you what it is. Like you you take your CRV and you can convert it to the convex version of CRV here.
Okay.
Okay. So, and then you can stake that new convex CRV into the convex protocol. Okay. And by
Okay.
doing that, you'll get your you'll get the same rewards that you would have gotten uh,
In curve.
as if you had staked your V curve. So what this is to me, it's basically just a liquid staking for V
Okay.
curve. So you're getting everything that you would get if you
Mm-hmm.
had locked up your CRV with curve.
Yeah.
Okay, so what that means is this, right? So you see how you're earning the usual rewards from V curve, and what that
Mm-hmm.
means is you get your governance fee distribution plus any airdrops that curve makes.
Uh-huh.
That's your usual reward,
Yeah.
right? So obviously, like if you're getting everything that you would be getting anyway,
Mm-hmm.
then any bonus you're getting is just the risk of you, like you're getting that in return for your risk um of using the convex protocol.
Yeah.
Let's say there was no risk at all for using the convex protocol, there would be no reason for you not to do this.
Yeah.
Okay. But like if you look at Convex's TVL, it's at $12 billion too. So it's like right up there, right? So
Yeah.
to me, that's like over half of Curve's TVL is in Convex.
So basically most people
Not,
are taking
yeah, a
advantage of
lot of people
this.
are taking advantage of it, right? And that's
Mm.
because on top of what you would already get, you get so you get CVX tokens, which is so CVX is the incentive token for this protocol.
Mm-hmm. So what stops you from like immediately selling the CVX back into Curve, going back here and staking more of your CRV?
You can sell your CVX, but I like, let's take a look at CVX's price.
Uh-huh.
I would expect that because it's an incentive token
It'll be
that
like very cheap. It's not that cheap.
no, this is a day. This is a day.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So um can you imagine like if you were down here and you're getting rewarded? That's
Uh-huh.
like fantastic.
Yeah.
But remember, I mean, this was in a bull market too. So
Hmm.
rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually look like CVX is just going down.
Yeah, it's
I have to be honest.
tanking.
I don't know CVX's tokenomics. I haven't looked
Uh,
into it. I just assumed that it would be um, a pure incentive token. But oh, I guess CVX would also have a DAO, so you
mm.
kind of have that going for it.
And how?
Well, I'll have to look a
Now,
little bit more
let,
into it.
let's let's answer the question that everybody that stumbles upon this video wants to know is, if I did this, around how much uh like APY would you be getting? Like when it's including the CRV, the curve rewards, the CVX, and on top the CRV earnings.
Yeah, okay. So let's take a look at one of the most popular curve pools there are is the tri
Uh,
crypto pool, right? So
Okay. Oh, there it is.
here, so it's 11.37% here.
With the
And if we go to
boost of
curve, oh, so
7.
one of the things is Convex is only available on Ethereum for now.
Oh, okay.
That does put a kink into
Yeah, I mean that's why
things.
the incentive token isn't being sold off.
So here, try crypto 2.
Yeah,
Uh, this is the reward rate.
let's just take the base, like 3.42.
Yeah, 3.4. So it's 3.42 versus a high amount, 11.37.
Yeah.
Okay. But this is even higher than if you had done your full V curve locked for 4 years.
Yeah.
So,
So there's no reason to not use convex, basically.
and I mean, this makes it very attractive if you were
Mhm.
to use any of these pools.
Yeah.
You know? So I guess I'm highlighting the fact that uh, another use of DeFi is to take an innovation that Curve made, but also made it liquid because by putting into Convex, your CVX curve can now be unstaked and sold off.
Interesting. It's actually really interesting.
But yeah, like it allows you to not be locked up for 4 years and get out.
Hmm.
It's generally like not a good idea to lock up things in crypto for
Especially
any
for
amount of
4
time.
years,
Yeah,
man.
especially for 4 years. But there are obviously like there's obviously a demand for doing this because the protocols would do that. Like protocols that are
Mm.
in it for a
Yeah.
long time and they want the CRV.
Yeah.
They don't mind locking it up for 4 years to gain more voting rights.
Yeah. Well, it helps them launch any other project, I guess.
So that kind of brings us neatly into Lido too. So Lido, have you heard of Lido?
Uh-huh. Nope.
So Lido is number 3 on the TVL list for Ethereum.
Uh-huh.
Like, come on, man. If you're gonna go into DeFi, you should at least take a look to see like on Ethereum, what are
Dude,
the
I'm
top
pure
five.
degen, okay?
So why I say it like ties neatly into Lido is a protocol to provide liquidity for staked assets, like basically what here. So liquid staking for ETH 2.0, for
Uh-huh.
Solana, for Terra, Kusama.
Oh, and that Kusama thing, okay.
Okay. So what you can do is you can stake your Ethereum. Normally, you so normally once you stake it, it's locked up, right? You have to
Mm.
wait until Ethereum 2.0 after the merge. You can at some point you can claim it, but with
Uh-huh.
Lido, you're getting BETH in return. So that's
Mm. So it's kind of the CVX,
That's right. Like
but for
it's kind of that.
Ethereum.
Yeah. So it's almost like CVX was like the BE of
Yeah.
CRV. Uh,
Okay.
but yeah, so there's not much to talk about here. The concept is
Mm.
very simple, right? You just you swap your ETH for BETH with them, and they stake it on your behalf, but they give you a liquid version of um, your staked Ethereum,
Yeah.
and which you can then swap for something else. And that would be the case for all of these things. Because I don't know if you've done any staking with Luna or Solana, Polygon.
Well, I was looking into Anchor, but I guess that's not really staking that you're talking about right
So
now.
all of these, the reason why there's a market for liquid staking is because when you
Uh-huh.
stake a token, let's take Terra for a moment. You
Mm-hmm.
can when you stake your Luna and you want to unstake it, there's there's you have to wait. You can't just unstake it right away unless you pay a fee.
Uh-huh.
But in some of these things, like you can't even pay a fee to get it back. It's just like locked
Mm-hmm.
for a certain amount of time. So that's what
Yeah.
liquid staking does. And
Mm.
obviously, there's high demand for it. That's why it can attract $16.6 billion in
Yeah,
TVL.
man. It's a lot of money.
Right. So we've covered a lot. Like now
Yeah, I think
we've mentioned Anchor.
mm-hmm.
Uh, so Anchor is the anchor protocol for the Terra ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's essentially it's essentially just a borrow and lend platform,
Yeah.
but they only do one thing. You deposit. Well, okay, so they do more than one thing, but like you can deposit UST with them and earn an interest. So they have an earn protocol. So you deposit and you
Yeah.
can get a high industry leading like
Yeah.
high APY. Okay, lots of videos out there on
Oh yeah. It's the
UST
highest for
and
a
Terra
stable
right
coin, right?
now. Okay, it's I would say controversial. It's both
Okay.
extremely popular and controversial at the same time. So we probably will take a look
Mm-hmm.
at Terra UST just on its own at some point, but not today. Just want
Yeah.
to kind of walk you through the protocol. Um,
What?
so you can also the UST that you uh, put into earn is not collateral.
Interesting.
So this is where um, your liquid Luna or your liquid ETH can be deposited as
Yeah.
collateral.
You can
So you
choose
can
for it to
yeah,
be,
so
right?
you can then choose to borrow against it. And what's attractive is that you get paid to borrow again. Right? So you get
Yeah,
paid.
it's negative 2.63 to borrow.
Yeah. But this distribution APR is in ANC tokens. So it's in the Anchor Protocols token. Yeah.
Okay.
So
It's the
if that token goes down, and I know for a fact that ANC tokens are highly like
Oh,
inflationary.
for sure. They're
Okay.
basically inflating it.
So I mean it did pump up. Like so this is when um I guess
Wow.
Luna Foundation Guard pumped
Yeah.
in 400 million, so it kind of went up, but now obviously it just comes right back down. Okay, so there's not much to say here except that you get a really high APY, and um, because Anchor has such a high TVL as well,
Yeah.
and it's been around for a while now. It's like a high target, right? Like the reason why I say these protocols with high TVL appear to be safer
Hmm.
is because not only do they, they're usually audited, right? by
Yeah.
reputable firms, but they've been such a big target for so long, and they have, I know they have like a huge bug bounty. So any
Mm,
hacker is very likely to claim their bug bounty rather than
yeah.
to try to steal funds, because they, even if you steal a bunch of UST, there's only so much on-chain
Yeah.
liquidity that you can have. Um,
Oh, cool, cool. Interesting. So nothing's stopping me from looping, right?
from yeah, so some people do, like they borrow UST and then they put it into earn. So
Yeah.
they're getting paid to borrow and then they're getting paid to deposit. But it's not without
Yeah.
risk. So it's not
Yeah.
financial advice. Do your own research.
Cool.
Mm. So okay, Uniswap. We're finally at Uniswap, and have you used Uniswap? Probably
I've
not.
actually
You've
used
used Uniswap
Uniswap.
once. I
I've
guess
actually used Uniswap.
when you first got your ERC20 tokens, you had to like swap it for something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, so
I've used it once. I think I've only used it once.
maybe you can tell us about Uniswap then.
Oh, I only did one thing, which was to swap my ether into something else.
But you know what Uniswap is, so you know what
Yeah.
it essentially does.
Or I only know it just swaps. I just does swap. It's in the name. You
Yeah.
swap.
So what? Okay. So what Uniswap does is like this is a proper AMM. Okay. So
Yeah.
it's the autonomous market maker, and it allows you to. It's the most popular one. So any Ethereum token.
Well, I'm
Well,
guessing it's everybody's on ramp, right?
so here's the thing. Anybody can actually use Uniswap to swap between two contracts, two
Uh-huh.
tokens.
But
So this is it. Now
mhm,
everybody knows what this looks like because um, it's just become the
the norm
industry
of
standard user interface for swaps, right? So you see you can choose any token on their whitelisted tokens. So this
uh-huh.
is their main Uniswap list, but you can also click here and you can add a bunch of token lists. Like you can add
Mm,
the CoinGecko list, CoinMarketCap list. So then once you add the list, you can just search for that token. So
right.
like obviously between CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap, you would have like covered ton of tokens, and I think they put in the very popular ones here, so you don't have to look for them.
Mm.
But even if you're dealing with a token which is not on one of these lists, you can
You can
still
paste the
use
address,
the
right?
address and find it. And once you do that, it will come up with a warning, telling you that, anyone like you that they're not verifying the validity like of that address. Okay,
Yeah,
so if you could easily be dealing with like a fake token, fake
yeah.
address, because you guys have to know like any token can be called USDC. Like
Mm,
any contract, you can call it USDC.
yeah,
Okay, and um, in order for you to be dealing with the correct USDC, you should like click into it, see how many holders there are, check with Coin Market Cap and CoinGecko to make sure it's the legit one, and
yeah,
use the ones that are here. Like if you just use this USDC, it's not gonna it's gonna be the correct one, provided that you're actually using the correct front end as well.
yeah.
So remember, this is
Or someone
DeFi.
just totally copies this one and makes you give them money.
Yeah, so this is DeFi, so you have to be responsible and do your own due diligence. You can't
Yeah,
just like don't be too rushed when you do things. When you're first using it and you're learning, try with small amounts first. Even
yeah,
if you have to pay like a higher transaction fee than the amount that you're swapping, you can try that out first. And
yeah.
before that, you can even use like a test network to make sure you know what you're doing.
Mm.
So that's swapping. Swapping, there's not much to say except for you have it's swapping one token
Yeah.
for another token. Um, some people, they don't realize that the difference between swapping on a decentralized exchange. So
Hmm.
I've been using the word AMM, but another term is the DEX, right? So
Yeah.
a decentralized exchange is what a
Hmm.
DEX is. And some people don't understand, or they don't appreciate the difference between um, a DEX, which operates on a liquidity pool,
Hmm.
versus a another exchange, whether it's a centralized exchange, a CEX, or another a DEX which uses an order book.
Yeah.
Right. So do you know what I'm talking about? Like, have you heard of the difference
I
between like
think
an
I've
order book?
heard that the order book one was Solana, right?
So your typical centralized exchange like Binance uh,
Hmm.
or KuCoin, Gemini, um, Coinbase, these are order book. They're going to be using an order book. So basically, you have a bid and an ask,
And an ask. Yeah.
okay, and then a spread. What a what a AMM like Uniswap does is it does
Hmm.
not use that bid ask system to determine the price.
Hmm.
So instead, there's a liquidity pool,
Yeah.
and there's a formula that gets applied to determine what the price of the coin is.
Based
And
on
it's
how
so
large the pool is,
no,
or
so imagine if you're the first person that started the pool,
yeah.
okay? Um, you would have to put in the ratio between the two tokens. So like let's say you've just created an Ethereum USDC pool, and
Okay.
you put in two Ethereum tokens for one USDC token.
Hmm.
That liquidity pool, remember, it's a 50-50 pool. That we haven't gotten to Balancer, which doesn't do 50-50 pools, but
Hmm.
Uniswap uses 50-50 pools, meaning that if I put into this liquidity pool one USDC and two ETH, that means that two ETH is equivalent in value to the one USDC.
Uh-huh.
So somebody who wants to buy it from me can buy it um, at that exchange rate.
Mm.
Okay, so uh, it uses the market and what liquidity providers are willing to provide liquidity to in order, and then people arbitraging the
Yeah.
exchange rate from the liquidity pool versus like a centralized exchange
Hmm.
for it to find the price.
Okay.
Okay. So when I first started using decentralized exchanges and liquidity pool um, exchanges, I was like, whoa, the prices are like not as good as Binance. Right? So you're like, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's costing me money every single time. But actually, you have to start kind of changing your mindset when you're using a liquidity pool because it's just a different market price.
Hmm.
The I guess the real price of a token would be the price where it has the most liquidity.
Okay.
So if anything, if you have a token where Uniswap has the most liquidity, then it could be that that is actually coming up with the most efficient market price. So
Hmm.
you may find that on Binance, you get a better price for it, but perhaps only one person wanted to sell one token at that
Yeah.
price. That's not a true price, even though you
Mm.
get the wick.
Yeah.
So with Uniswap, you don't have that problem. So uh, let's try to do something like this. So calculate one ETH right now is $3,017. Uh,
Received after slippage. No. Ooh, okay. Still quite
so
expensive. Okay.
so because of how AMMs have to work, they have these liquidity pools. So I'm just going to go to these
Yeah.
charts. So here you can see all of their pools. There's 5 pages of pools, but I'm just going to show you these as an example.
Yeah.
I think it's sorted by TVL. So they're the largest pool is the USDC ETH pool, not surprising. And every swap, Uniswap will take a 0.3% fee.
Yeah.
That goes to the liquidity providers.
Mm.
I believe a small amount, like 0.05%, now goes to the Uni token holders. I'm not sure if in V3 that's the case.
Oh, okay.
This is V2. So in V2, 0.3%, I think, goes to the liquidity providers.
Mm. Okay.
So yeah, basically, like, you can deposit into a liquidity pool, receive liquidity pool tokens, and and that's like a receipt for
Yeah.
being in this pool. And as a liquidity provider, you will receive this 0.3% of every trade that gets made
Yeah.
in that pool. So you can see, like, everyone in the pool total, there's $416 million. The daily transaction volume, so this 0.3% would be taken from this $88 million.
Yeah. And distributed to all the people that staked.
Yeah, and that's every day too, right? So $88 million, that's almost like $264,000 per day. And at this rate, that means it's almost $100 million a year. So you can see that is a 25% APY.
Yeah.
Okay, but like you said, well, you mentioned to me before that one of the first time you provided liquidity, you realized there's this thing called impermanent loss.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that thing sucked.
so that is the case. Like, you have to, whenever you're providing liquidity, you have to make sure that the APY that you're getting will
Yeah.
actually that you think it can offset your expected impermanent loss. So
Yeah.
it's the best way to explain impermanent loss. Every single time somebody buys, let's say it's the USDC ETH pool, if somebody buys ETH from that pool, then as a then the price of ETH will go up. But you, as a liquidity provider, you will now hold a little bit less ETH and a little bit more USDC.
Yeah.
So as ETH has gone up in value and you are holding less ETH as part of that pool, you've actually lost money.
Yeah.
Okay. So hopefully,
And I don't like it. I didn't like it.
yeah, like I said, my experience is that the liquidity, like the trading fees, do not completely offset the impermanent loss.
Oh, it like,
And
even from my experience, it never does.
yeah, so there are impermanent loss calculators out there that you should try to search. Just Google impermanent loss calculator, and you can model like how much impermanent loss a 50-50 pool will be. And actually, there are different pools in terms of the ratio, and some will have less impermanent loss than others. So I think that is a good way to kind of move on from Uniswap to something like Balancer. So Balancer, I'm not going to go into it too much because we've been looking at so many protocols, but this is like really like a speed round. I don't know. We've actually gone quite in depth with each
Well,
one.
it's more like, if you're getting into DeFi, maybe you should start with these first instead of what I did.
Yeah. So Balancer gives you a different ratio pools. not only 50-50 pools. So you can have like 80-20, 70-30, whatever. And those pools will have far less impermanent loss than a 50-50 pool.
Yeah.
So we skipped compound, but compound is not too dissimilar to Aave.
Okay.
Okay, so
So it's
Aave and compound are very
like
similar. They're just
borrow and lend,
lending,
basically.
borrowing
Okay.
protocols. The last one I wanted to talk about is YFI, Yearn Finance. So
Okay.
Yearn Finance is an auto compounder. Okay, this is one of the
Oh,
cool
wait a minute.
innovations.
Oh, wait, I've heard of this. I heard of this. Okay, keep going, keep going. I think I know what this is.
So a lot of the protocols that we've seen, they pay an incentive token, and they give it to you in small amounts, right? Like every single day you
Yep.
earn a little bit. So, and a lot of them actually make you claim it before you can sell it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you can imagine every single time you claim it, it's a transaction on the blockchain. And
Yeah.
back in the day, even now, Ethereum transactions are pretty expensive. Even if you're using something like Avalanche, it may not be worth the 20-30 cents per transaction that it's going to cost you to claim your incentive reward to sell it. Because in order to do that, you need to claim the reward, swap the reward, and then swap your stablecoin back into your liquidity pool token, deposit the liquidity pool token back into the farm in order for you to receive more rewards. So the compounding step has like 4 or 5 steps there, right? And each
you're
of
paying
those,
fees 4 or 5 times.
yeah. So what YFI does is it comes up with these strategies, and it will do the auto compounding for you. And they pull in a lot of people who want to use that farm, and so that means that every single time they compound, they are doing it with a much larger amount. So the transaction fee is split between everyone who is in that pool. So you can see
Yeah.
like it's very obvious like curve pools are very, very popular here.
Yeah.
So you can click into, let's see, Curve, try crypto. You can see what it does is it actually supplies Curve, try crypto to Convex that we talked about. So you can earn CRV and CVX, and then they are harvested and sold for more try crypto, and it's deposited back in the strategy. So basically, you can take the what we looked at before and
Put it here for even better efficiency.
and put it here. But what's interesting is that, so here you can see Convex APR 10.77, the gross APR 11.47, the net APR, which is after their fees, is 7.11. So, it may not be worth it to use this because they charge high fees, it seems. So just pay attention. I'm only using YFI as an example of an auto compounder. There are other auto compounders on other L1s or across chain, like the Auto Farm Network. You have Yield Yak on Avalanche. So just I'm showing you guys this to let you know these things exist, so that you can do things like borrow stable coins, swap it into a liquidity pool, put your liquidity pool into a farm, auto compound that farm, or even like if it's Curve, you can do liquid staking and then auto compound those strategies. So that is a lot, and that's kind of where
What
DeFi is at the moment.
where it should be.
Well, it's kind of just like the current state of what I call proper DeFi.
Not the Seifu stuff. Not the Seifu stuff.
So hopefully, this was another like educational
Oh
video
yeah.
for you guys to just quickly, have me as a guide for what's out there in terms of Ethereum DeFi. Ethereum's still really hard to use, so like expensive to use. So
Yeah.
see, like you can come back to DeFi Llama and go to the Ethereum L2, go to the Ethereum layer twos like Arbitrum, and see which ones are there. Like you can see Curve is there, obviously Uniswap balancer, a lot of the protocols. So Beefy is like an Aave on like it's also a lend borrow protocol, and they have a lot of TVL as well. Well, actually, not on Arbitrum.
It's also
but
an auto compounder, I think.
yeah, so
Yeah, I think that's one of the ones I ran across.
so Aave is on Arbitrum now as well. YFI is on Arbitrum. Okay, so
Mm. No, I
so I
think it's
guess you
great.
can,
I
okay, so
think
you can swap. Oh, Wi-Fi is also on Phantom, so you can switch to Arbitrum, and well, I'm not gonna do that now
nothing's there.
because I'm like totally burned out now.
No, I think most people don't know what traditional and proper DeFi should be. Most of the YouTube videos I get to look at, they don't talk about this, right?
Yeah, so hopefully you guys have learned something, but really, I hope that these protocols, as they get more popular, as they stand the test of time, as people get more comfortable putting their funds here,
Hmm.
it will help grow the whole ecosystem. You know,
Yeah.
and that will benefit everyone who's involved, whether you're an ETH holder or a Bitcoin holder, someone who's working in Web3, and generally, I think that this is the way finance is headed in the future.
Mhm.
So hopefully, you guys have a little taste of that, and if it's piqued your interest, you can play around with it yourself.
Yeah.
And
All
that's all
right.
I have for you guys.
All right.
All right, so see you guys next time on Friday. We'll try to take a look at another degen project because those are more fun. Like I have to admit, like this stuff, I want you guys to be aware of it. You guys
Hmm.
should know about it. But we want to have a good balance between the sensible and the fun.
And the fun
Yeah.
stuff that somehow is like the center of DeFi right now for some reason.
All right.
All
Ha-
right.
have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.